In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to color grade this to this. We're going to be using DaVinci Resolve and Dehancer. Full disclosure, there is a 10% off code in the description to use if you want to get Dehancer. So our starting point is this clip here. So first things first, I'm going to bring in Dehancer, and generally what I like to do is I like to bring in Dehancer not on the clip level, but on the timeline level. So if you're not familiar with DaVinci Resolve, you drag in your clip, you bring it into the edit tab here, and then it shows up inside of this color tab. And then so you might see it like this when you go to the color tab. You just click this button up here to open up the nodes, and then this one to open the effects. So what I generally like to do is I go on the timeline level, especially when I have a bunch of clips and I want them all to have the same look. I generally add Dehancer on the timeline level. So I'm gonna pull in Dehancer, drop it in here, and nothing's gonna happen because you have to just link the node to this is the in and this is the out. And what you'll notice is it looks kind of weird. So there's a few settings we have to go through here first to get it to look normal. So this shot was filmed on the Sony FX30 in S-Log 3. So I have to tell it that. So I'm gonna go down to choose camera, vendor is Sony, and you can already see it's looking a bit better, but I'm going to go down to the FX30 and Gamut 3 Cine. You can check on your camera which one you have. If you don't have log on your camera, then you would just leave it at Rec 709. So this was filmed, I believe, at 800 ISO. It doesn't actually make a difference, I don't think, but it does make apparently a little bit of a difference what you choose, although not visible. So I'm just going to do 800 because I'm pretty sure that it was filmed at 800. So now our color is right. So now, first things first, what I generally do is I start off with turning off film grain. So it adds very subtle. When you first bring it on, it adds a film grain. You can kind of see it up there if your YouTube resolution is high enough. So I just shut that off to start with. I'm going to turn it back on later. And I'm just going to go through things line by line. So I'm going to also shut off the film over here, and we might bring that on later, we might not. So I just like opening everything up and shutting off the automatic things that are on. So I'm just looking at the pure clean image as it is converted from Sony Log to Rec 709. So that is just the regular conversion. Okay, so first things first, I'm gonna enable Film Developer. This is one of my favorite tools, and I'm gonna just start with doing a little bit here. So I'm going to boost the colors. You could already see, like, boom, we already have most of our look just from doing that. We're going to use other tools to bring out the color even more. For this particular look, I'm not going to use film. There are some really cool film emulations here you can go through and kind of mess with. For this one, I'm gonna stay off it. Next thing I'm going to go to is the film compression. So what this does is it basically brings down the highlights in a very cool way. So like if there's a lot of highlights or they're overblown, you could use this a lot of times to recover some of that. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put it to like around 60 or so, and I'm going to bring the color density up here too. So this is like, it's very, very subtle. If you want to see it, you can look over here, like in the sky, super, super subtle when I'm bringing it up. What I've learned with color grading is it's a bunch of subtle moves that come together in the end to make up the full look, as you'll hopefully see. For the expand, the black point, I'm not actually going to touch that. And then for the print, so this is where a lot of the magic can happen. So number one, they have a few film print emulations, which just like these alone add a whole vibe to the image. I'm going to keep it on linear. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the tonal contrast just a bit. So you can see like that's bringing in a lot of depth into the image. That's, you don't want to go too much. Again, it's about subtle moves. So I'm going to bring it to like 9.6. And then I'm going to bring up the color density as well. So like that. Again, I'm just bringing that in there. And I'm going to maybe bring in a little bit of exposure, although I might end up bringing that back down. For color head over here, I'm going to leave this as is. This is if you want to change, certain spots, like if you want to move the yellows to more blues or whatever, etc. So you can get some cool looks just by doing that, or you can also just adjust the shadows on their own, like if you want to make the shadows bluer. or the midtones or whatever. For these purposes, I'm not actually gonna touch that. I do want a little bit of film grain in this. That was just a personal preference. I kind of wanted it to have this like vintage but really bright. It doesn't really make sense because film would never be this bright, I don't think, but just my personal taste, and you could, you know, use it if you want. You can also go to custom and really fine tune, you know, the amount and stuff like that. A lot of times what I like to do is shut it off in the shadows and have it a bit more in the highlights in the midtones, because I feel like, you know, in bad cameras, in the shadows you see more grain, but on film a lot of times you notice it more in the highlights. Again, just my personal taste. With halation on this one, I'm not gonna use it, and so just like that, we have this pretty cool look. And if you want to see what that would look like, you know, so if you want to see like from Rec 709 to Dehancer, what's happening here. So if we put in a color space transform over here, and we go from S-Log3 to Rec 709, the image is going to look pretty crazy. I believe it's gamma 2.2 or 4, I don't know. And then we switch this to Rec 709. You can see what that's adding. So this is just S-Log to Rec 709, and then this is what Dehancer is adding. So you can see it's bringing in so much vibrancy and color into this, and then the film grain. And this is just one way to use it. You know, I'm not really even fully taking advantage of all of their film emulation stuff, but this is just one way to use it to really quickly bring out your color grade. And then the reason why I put it on timeline is so that in my clip section, if I have a bunch of clips, what you can do is just bring in a node, and then any adjustments that you want to make. So let's say it's a little bright, you can bring it down. And what I find is Dehancer works really nicely in conjunction with the DaVinci Resolve tools. Just to show you, so if we just have the Rec 709 footage and we're bringing this down, like you can see it's kind of uniform what it's doing, but Dehancer, what I notice is it works a lot differently somehow in conjunction with these tools. Like certain parts will be brought out more. Like you can see the pink here is getting more dense when I'm bringing the overall offset down, the exposure down, and then certain things are getting washed out. But like that red, for example, is staying super nice and bright red, like no matter, like almost up to here, you know, it's kind of staying nice. So there's a really cool way that Dehancer interacts with the DaVinci Resolve tools, and like just like this, you know, maybe it makes it a little nicer of a look. So anyways, that's one way of using Dehancer to color grade your footage to get this really nice, super vibrant look. Hope that helps.